All right, so we're diving into Chimp Crazy, and honestly, the response to Tonia Haddix has been huge. Everyone's talking about her interview on the Sarah Fraser show, so we're going deep on that, plus, gotta give you some extra context, right?
Yeah, and it gets really wild really fast. We're talking legal battles, PETA, like the whole shebang. Even touches on how documentaries get made, which, honestly, fascinating stuff.
Totally. But it's easy to get caught up in the headlines. I mean, smuggling a chimp in a Holiday Inn Express. Come on, that's a whole movie right there.
Right. Talk about dedication.
Yeah.
But you're right, we got to go deeper. Who as Tonia Haddix? Not just the chimp lady the documentary kind of makes her out to be.
Exactly. So who is she? Beyond the documentary version.
Well, she talks a lot about being a caregiver. And not just recently, like her whole life. 19 years old, she's a foster mom, taking in kids, the ones who need a little extra help. And it continues. She becomes a nurse, even cares for sick animals.
So this is ingrained in her. So does that change how we see her with chimps then?
It definitely makes you rethink that whole obsessive monkey mom thing,
Mm-hmm.
This isn't just some whim. It's literally been her life's work to care for those who need it.
I mean, that makes you think about how the documentary portrays her. It's almost like they use that stereotype on purpose to discredit her.
You might be onto something. Because if she's just a stereotypical crazy chimp lady, then it's easy to dismiss anything she says about giving Tonka a good home.
Which brings us to, the elephant in the room. She lied in court about Tonka's death. That's a big deal.
No way around it is. But the interview, it gives us some perspective. She was desperate, terrified of losing Tonka to PETA. And she thought if they thought he was gone, they'd back off.
So wrong on paper, absolutely. But you can kind of understand the mindset, maybe. That fear, that need to protect.
And that's the thing, right? It forces us to think about that line. When does love for an animal, even if it's misguided, become reason to break the law? Heavy stuff.
It definitely makes you think. Okay, but let's back up. How'd she even get mixed up with Connie Casey and those chimps? The documentary makes it seem like she swooped in trying to be a savior.
Oh, it wasn't like that at first. She just wanted to buy a baby chimp from Connie. Had no clue about the legal mess.
Right, so she didn't even know about the PETA lawsuit.
Not a clue. It was only when she saw Connie, in tears, that it hit her how serious it was. Lawsuits, chimps facing removal. Connie was in over her head.
And that's when Tonia's, caregiver instincts kicked in, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
She brings in an expert, assesses Connie's place, figures out how to get it up to code. And remember, at this point, she's following the law in Missouri. Owning exotic animals, totally legal there. This isn't some shady backyard operation.
Yeah, good point. It's not like she was hiding anything, trying to work within the system, even if that system was, a bit of a mess. But PETA coming in, that changed everything, huh?
Big time. And to really get why they're such a force, we got to talk about PETA's tactics.
Okay, so PETA.
Right.
People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. They've been around forever, and they are not messing around when it comes to animal rights. At all. Yeah, no kidding. They're famous for, infamous, depending on who you ask, for those intense campaigns. Undercover stuff, those graphic ads. I swear I saw someone get fake blood thrown on them once for wearing fur.
Oh, yeah. They are not afraid to cause a scene. But they get results. You got to give them that.
Right.
They've been huge in getting companies to drop animal testing.
Right. So it's not just shock value. They've actually changed things. So when it comes to exotic animals like Tonia and those chimps, what's their play?
So their whole thing is you can't keep these super intelligent social animals like chimps in what they say are inadequate conditions, even if you're following the letter of the law. They believe these animals need to be in, those big sanctuaries, more space, hanging with their own kind.
Which, I get it, sounds good on paper. But Tonia was trying to make that facility better, right? Working within the rules. It's not like she just ignored them.
And that's what's crazy. It's PETA has all these lawyers, money, the whole 9 yards. And they're going after individuals like Tonia, like Connie. Even if you're trying to do the right thing, how do you fight that?
Especially if those legal battles drag on, cost a fortune.
Yeah.
It's totally David and Goliath. But what were they actually saying about Tonia's place specifically? Legally, I mean.
So they claimed it violated the Animal Welfare Act. That's the one setting standards for, any animal used for research, exhibition, pets, the whole deal.
Okay, makes sense. But it sounds kind of vague.
That's the thing. It's super broad. And the interpretation, that's where things get messy. PETA is always saying the AWO standards aren't tough enough, especially for primates.
Ah, so they use the law, but also kind of push it further, make it even harder for someone like Tonia to keep up.
Bingo. And that's where Tonia gets fired up, man.
Yeah.
She's not just arguing the law, she's questioning their motives, even accusing them of hypocrisy. which is wild.
Whoa, hold on, hypocrisy. Like, PETA, that's a bold move. We gotta unpack that, because if it's true...
Yeah, it's a big deal. Like, one example, euthanasia. PETA, publicly, they're against it, right? Saving animals, obviously. But Tonia and a bunch of others, they're saying PETA puts down a ton of animals in their care.
Seriously. So it's like, do as we say, not as we do. If that's true, it totally changes how you see them.
Right. Makes you question everything. Are they really about helping animals, or is it something else?
And the documentary, like, completely skips over this. It's all black and white, good guys, bad guys. But Tonia's side, whether you agree or not, it's complicated, man.
100%. That's why this stuff matters. It's not about picking sides. It's about seeing the whole picture. Because nothing's ever that simple, you know?
And then there's that thing she said about, like, all domestic animals, that PETA will eventually go after anyone with a pet.
Wait, is she saying someday owning a dog could be on their hit list?
That's what she's saying. Now, is it going to happen? Who knows? But it does make you think, where's the line? For them, I mean.
Right. It's kind of chilling when you think about it, especially with how much power they have. So where does that leave Tonia? Now, I mean, what's her life like after all this, and is she done with PETA? Well, let's just say she's not twiddling her thumbs. She's running this place. Sunrise Beach Safari, the camels, kangaroos, wallabies, you know, a little more low-key.
Okay, so a bit less intense than federal court drama, but are those legal issues actually settled?
Not so fast. PETA's still after her for that whole thing about misleading the court about Tonka. Big fines on the line.
But she's got those Google reviews for Sunrise Beach, right? All positive. It's like she's saying, look, I'm not this monster they're making me out to be.
Smart move, right?
Yeah.
Gotta fight back somehow. Shows how important online stuff is these days. But those legal bills, oof, that's a killer. Going up against an organization like PETA, it's not fair.
Talk about an uphill battle. So what's next? Any more legal stuff coming down the pipeline?
There might be, actually. Potential charges about Tonka disappearing, so that's still up in the air. Makes you think, even if she wins all this, what's the cost? You know, emotionally, I mean.
Right, losing Tonka, the stress, the court stuff, it's a lot. Does she still think she'll ever see him again?
She does. And get this, she's thrown down the gauntlet, challenging PETA to let her see Tonka. With a transport cage, no drugs, no nothing. Her logic, if he goes with her willingly, it proves he wants to be with her. Case closed.
Wow. That's kind of badass no matter what you think of her. It's like she's calling their bluff.
Totally. She believes she knows what's best for Tonka, that's for sure.
And that's the thing, right? The documentary never really answers what is best for a chimp, space, other chimps, even if it means no more humans, he knows. Or is it about, I don't know, love, familiarity, even if they're different species?
$1 million question. And documentaries, they like things simple, good versus bad. Real life's way messier.
Especially if there was manipulation, hidden agendas from the filmmakers. Makes you wonder if any documentary can be truly, like, unbiased about this kind of stuff.
Ooh, that's a whole other deep dive. But for now, let's end on Tonia's big takeaway. She's saying the whole exotic animal community, they gotta unite, stand up to PETA or get run over.
Okay, now I'm interested.
She's saying everyone's fighting their own battles, scattered while PETA's organized, funded. Can regular people with, like, normal bank accounts actually take on a giant like that?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's bigger than just chimps or whatever. It's about activism. Who has the power? How change really happens. Makes you think.
And that, my friend, is what we're here for.